Hello, everybody. Welcome to One World Sports Radio. I've got Ken Borland with me. We are ready to go for the test between the Wallabies and the Springboks from the Seabus Stadium in the Gold Coast in Australia. Ken, are you well?
Hi there, Otto. Yes, all good, thanks. And looking forward to taking on our Antipodean rivals once again. It's been a while since we've played against Australia. In particular, I mean, we haven't played them since before the World Cup. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we measure up against the Wallabies.
Indeed. Let me take the listeners through the Australian team quickly while we watch the anthems being sung there. Australia, starting from loose head prop number 1, Angus Bell. 2, Folau Fainga. 3, Alan Alatoa. 4, Isaac Rodda. 5, Matt Phillip. 6, Lachlan Swinton. 7, Michael Hooper, the captain. 8, Rob Valentini. 9, Tate McDermott. 10, the New Zealand-born Quade Cooper. 11, Marika Koroibeti. 12, Samu Karevi. 13, Len Ikitau. 14, Andrew Callaway. And 15 is Tom Banks. So will you take us through the South African team quickly, Ken?
Yeah, well, we've got Stephen Kitsoff back starting at loose head prop, Bongi and Benambi at hooker, Francois Herbert tight head prop. So the old Stormers front row playing together as a combination. Eben Etzbeth and Lut Diaga are the locks. Sia Khaleesi, the captain, as we see him once again belting out the national anthem with great gusto. Franco Mostert continues at blindside flank rather, where he has been so successful. And the big return of Dwayne Vermeulen to 8th man, playing for the Springboks again for the first time since the World Cup final. Another big returnee for the Springboks is Faf de Klerk at scrum half, joining Andre Pollard as the halfbacks. Makazole Mapimpi and Sbu Nkosi are the wings, and Nkosi coming in for the injured Cheslin Colby. Damien Dialende and Lukanya M to continue their highly successful midfield partnership, and Billy LaRue at fullback.
For Australia, we've got from 16 to 23, Feleti Kautu'u, James Slipper, Tanya Latupo, the front row replacements, Rob Leota, Pete Samu, the 2 other forwards replacements, Nick White and Reece Hodge, halfback pairing backup, and Jordan Petaya on utility back replacement for Australia. They're just about ready to kick off. As we see, Quade Cooper will be kicking off for Australia. Take it away, Ked.
Yeah, South Africa have received the ball. Damien Dialende taking it up just outside the 22. The Springboks form the ruck, and Faf de Klerk is digging the ball out with his boot, poised to box kick. There it goes, up in the air. And Sbu Nkosi in chase on the 10-meter line. Both him and Banks totally missed the ball. It's picked up by Lut Diaga over the 10-meter line. De Klerk to Pollard to Billy LaRue, who kicks towards the far touchline, and he doesn't find grass. It's Quade Cooper who gets across to catch, and he's brought down by the Springbok defence. Take McDermott now at the ruck. Out it goes. That is Karevi securing the ball for the Wallabies as they wait at the ruck. McDermott again to Phillip. Dwayne Vermeulen causing a bit of a nuisance of himself at the ruck there. But McDermott has the ball again and prepares to box kick. Up it goes. Just inside the Springboks half. Billy LaRue up in the air and gathers beautifully. Ball coming back for the Springboks now. De Klerk to a little pod led by Stephen Kitsoff, who steps his way out of the first tackle. De Klerk now to Pollard, who will launch a bomb here to the near side touchline, just inside the Australian half. Taken by Sbu Nkosi. De Klerk again now. Pollard, LaRue, and now kicks for the far touchline. And this time he has found grass and bounces it into touch just outside the Wallabies 22.
Springboks looking very energetic. They're playing from left to right here on our screens. And this line-out will be just inside the Wallabies just outside the Wallabies 22, and they will have the put into the first line out of this first test match in Australia versus South Africa.
And Franco Mostert won it at the front of the line out there, but unfortunately his tap went into touch. So Australia have gained 4 or 5 meters and will have another line out. But early pressure for Falau Foinga here as he prepares to throw in again. This time to the back, and this time it's taken by Matt Phillip. Australia have set them all.
Yeah, they look like they're driving it towards the 10-meter line. No real momentum.
Yeah, the Springboks didn't commit too many numbers there, and now McDermott has launched the bomb to Mapimpi, who takes easy. There's very little pressure on him. He runs. He's across the 10-meter line, and de Klerk at the ruck kicks. Found some space at the back. Bounces just outside the 22. Banks has to scurry back and get it, and he will kick towards the touchline. He hasn't found touch. He's found Faf de Klerk again, who passes inside to Pollard. Pollard runs towards the halfway line and launches a bomb himself. Vinnie LaRue running all over the place to try and get it. It's rebounded to Franco Mostert. 2 Wallabies in quickly on the ball, but the Springboks have cleaned them away. De Klerk, Pollard, skip pass to Lukhanyo who sidesteps and gets over the 10-meter line. So a good counter ruck here by the Wallabies. Springboks under pressure. Damien Dialenda doing great work not to give away the penalty there. Mbonambi charges forward.
Just over the 10-meter line of Australia.
And Faf de Klerk is complaining about Matt Phillip coming onto his side. He launches the little box kick, and it's a great little kick into space
nice.
On the left-hand side touchline, and the Springboks will again be able to put the Wallabies line out under pressure, this time deep inside their 22.
Now that counter ruck by Len Ikitau for the Wallabies, putting Faf on his backside, but with the help of Damien Delende managing to secure that ball.
This is a good line out by the Australians, but then it goes astray. A bouncing ball 5 meters from their try line. Samu Karevi has to tidy up, and they've conceded the penalties. The Wallabies
going off their feet.
The ball.
Yeah, sealing the ball off there as there was huge pressure on the Australian backline there with that ball bouncing all along the ground, all along the backline. And Lukhanyo getting in over the ball there. And as the Wallabies cleaners came in there, they went off their feet according to the referee signal. But Lukhanyo almost getting the turnover there. It's a penalty now to South Africa, just to the left of the uprights and 5 meters out of the Wallabies try line. So no doubt this will be a penalty kick. Indeed, yes, Pollard's got the tee, setting it up.
Yeah, it should be a bit of a gimme for Handré Pollard. So good early reward for the Springboks kicking game and then the pressure they're exerting at the line-out.
Indeed. So
over it goes.
There we go. 3-0 to the Springboks. And that is 5 minutes into the first half of this first test between South Africa and Australia in this year's Rugby Championship. They've got the white on blue for the timer there, white text on a blue background, which is quite difficult to read from where I'm sitting. We see the kickoff coming in.
Duane Vermeulen has fielded it well, and Faf de Klerk again just digging the ball out of the ruck. Here comes his clearing kick. Of course, he in chase again, and this one has gone into touch pretty much on the Springboks 10-meter line.
Yes, indeed. On the near side of the field, the Springboks looking very calm, very intense play from them so far.
Short Australian Wallabies line out, and Karevi crashes the ball up. He's over the 10-meter line. McDermott to Cooper with an inside ball, which totally misses the runner. It's picked up by Matt Phillip. Australia retain possession. McDermott on the 10-meter line. Bell carries up. McDermott steps inside, but the Springbok defence have taken care of him, and Kitshoff went in hard on the ball, but the referee has probably deemed that he was tackle assist there. So the Springboks have conceded the penalty.
Yeah, it's on the 10-meter line. It looks like Hooper is pointing to the sticks there. Stephen Kitsoff tried to go in over the ball there, but just lost his balance and tipped himself forward as he went onto the ball. So 50-50 call there, could have gone either way. He had his hands on the ball, but the referee saying that he's lost his feet, and I think he also signaled a side entry there by one of the support players maybe, but also signaling not rolling away. So I'm not sure exactly what that penalty was for, but Quade Cooper is lining this one up on the 10-meter line, just to the near side of the uprights.
Yeah, I think Kitsoff might have been okay actually watching the replay again, but there was definitely a Springbok lying on the ground who was probably impeding the Wallabies cleaners a bit.
Yeah, so let's see if the Wallabies can level the score here after 8 minutes, just about 8 minutes of play. It's 3-0 to the Springboks.
And Cooper just sneaks this inside the upright, so Quade Cooper has his first test points for 5 years or so. Quite the comeback by him.
Yeah, 3 points all in the Gold Coast in Australia. So let's see what the Springboks do with their first kickoff of the match. Andre Pollard. Yeah.
Pollard goes into the Australian 22. It's picked up by Marika Koriobetti, who eludes the first couple of tacklers and is now forced backwards by Stephen Kitsoff. Strong work by the Springbok prop. Australia will get the ball back though. McDermott goes short to another forward pod led by Lockie Swinton. They only make a metre or two. McDermott shaping to box kick again. Etzemet trying very hard to charge him down, and I think he definitely got a bit on that because it's gone just outside the 22. One back by the Springboks. Luke Diaga carries forward. Quick ball back for the Springboks to Clerk, to Willie Leroux, who launches a kick onto the 22. It's a high up and under. Australia have chopped it. Khaleesi gets it back infield to Allende, who just can't take the pass and is knocked on, but there might have been a Wallabies knock on there first from the high ball. Allende seems to be asking for obstruction as well.
Yep, that ball meant for Makazolo Mapimpi on the far side, on the left wing there. So Willie Leroux sending that one off the left foot. There were just too many Australians in the way there as Tom Banks went up, and then Siya Kolisi tried to collect. And as Allende went into contact, the ball just burst out of his hands over the touchline on the far side of the field. I think it's just inside the Wallabies 22. So they'll have a defensive line out. No, it's going to be a scrum. Let's see who gets the ball. Not sure what the referee saw.
The ball at the moment.
So attacking scrum for the Springboks, 5 meters from the near side touchline on the Wallabies 22. First
scrum of the game. Yeah, and the Australian lineout has been under pressure. Let's see how their scrum goes. They've set. De Klerk puts it in, and immediately a penalty to the Springboks. Stephen Kitsoff getting the better of Alan Alalatoa there, forcing him down to the ground. So a bad start on the set pieces for the Wallabies.
Yep, Angus Bell right in front of the referee, facing up to Frans Malherbe. It looks like he was the one penalised there. And so it will be another shot at goal by Andre Pollard, signals the referee. They're showing Angus Bell here on the TV. So let's see what Pollard does with this one on the 22 on the far side of the field, right-footed kicker. So that's the easier part of the ground to kick from as a right-footer.
I fancy both props probably went down there for the Wallabies. So not good signs for them at all.
No, their line out is scrappy so far. They haven't had solid possession from set pieces at all. And they're being tackled back by the Springboks, and they're also losing the aerial battles, most of the kicks being collected by the Springboks. Pollard strikes this one, and it goes sweetly sailing through the uprights. It's 6 points to 3 to the Springboks with just a little bit more than 11 minutes played. And the Wallabies will have yet another kickoff. So good signs early here for the Springboks. They just need to be wary of the counter-attacking play of this Wallaby side as Quade Cooper kicks this ball high into the air. It comes down 20 meters from the near side touchline, collected by Dwayne Vermeulen. He goes into contact just short of the 22. Faf de Klerk is ready with the box kick off the left foot. No, yes, indeed. He goes up high into the air. Ball comes down just inside the Springbok half, collected by Tom Banks, and he manages to get the ball out to the Wallabies back line there. Quade Cooper pops a ball over the defensive line of the Springboks, and it's a bit messy at the back there. Lots of pressure on by the Wallabies. There's a ruck now just outside the Springbok 22, and the Wallabies get the penalty for an infringement at the ruck. So that'll be yet another chance for them to equalize immediately. A bit scrappy there by Handré Pollard and Willie Leroux, and Handré Pollard forced to hang on to the ball, it looks like there, as he just tripped and was maybe tackled a bit early. I think that was what the Springboks were remonstrating against, and Cooper immediately signaling that they will take the shot at goal. So good work there by Len Ikitau. He got the ball, got them onto the front foot, and then Quade Cooper popped the ball over the defensive line of the box. And that's where it got a bit messy for Willie Leroux and Handré Pollard trying to clean up that possession there for the Springboks.
Yeah, noticeable just how quickly the Wallabies get to the breakdown with a couple of players, and any sort of hesitancy or slight handling error by the Springboks, and they're going to be under pressure at the breakdown, that's for sure.
Quade Cooper sets this one up. Remember to look us up on YouTube if you're not watching us there, watching along with us there. We can't show you the pictures, but we'll tell you exactly what's happening. Quade Cooper is ready. He comes forward, looks at the post still, gets his head down, comes forward now and strikes this ball, and it's another good kick by the experienced Wallaby fly half. 6 points all, and that is after 13 minutes in the first half. 6 points all.
A little bit concerning for the Springboks that the Australians have been in their territory twice, really, and come away with 6 points.
And striking back each time. Pollard kicks this one to the near side touchline into the 22, where it's taken up by, it looks like Samu Kurevi there. Some hassling work there on McDermott by the Springboks as he pops this one out to a pod of forwards. They take the ball up onto the 15-meter line, near side of the field, inside the 22. McDermott now kicking with the right foot. The ball is going to come down just inside the Wallaby half, outside the 10-meter line, 15 meters from the near side touchline. The ruck is formed. Faf de Klerk has the ball at the back. The ball goes out to, looks like Bloot de Jager there, some of the forwards. Faf de Klerk has it again, this time out to Pollard, who puts the kick high up into the air to the far side of the field. It's going to come down into the hands of Tom Banks, just outside the Wallabies 22, and it's a bit of a dangerous tackle there. It looks like Siya Kolisi there, just tipping Banks, but bringing him down, it looked like. Just a penalty for the Wallabies. The English referee picking that up as a dangerous tackle. So we see that Siya Kolisi gets Tom Banks here. No real malice there, just taking his body past the horizontal, and that's an immediate penalty with the application of the rules these days. So that's relief for the Wallabies.
Yeah, that's where I don't like that rule a bit, because I think it's quite clear there that the tackled player actually contributed to the tip, because he was looking to turn around and place the ball back.
Yes.
So you got a powerful man like Kolisi pushing him in one direction, and then the Wallaby player also decides to go back in that direction. Very difficult for Kolisi not to lift his legs in that situation. He never dropped him. He put him down fairly gentle, and he certainly didn't land on his head or shoulders or anything.
No, he had his elbows on the ground and was sort of sliding along the ground on his elbows. They're just having a look at this play to see if they should have an extra sanction against Kolisi, and then we see the cleaner, number 8, coming in with the shoulder onto the head of Siya Kolisi. So that might also come into play here. That was Rob Valentini for Australia, and it looks like they are having a look at that as well. But let's see what the referee says, as we can't hear the audio, but we'll see what the referee comes up with. He is reaching into his pocket And he has sent off the South African captain. Siya Kolisi is off for 10 minutes. Geez, that could have gone either way, but I think with the harsh way that they're policing those tackle situations these days, the referee, I don't know. Like you said, Ken, I don't totally agree with that. I've seen worse than that, but as soon as the players' hips go above the shoulders, the tackled players' hips go above the shoulders, it spells trouble for the tackler in any situation these days. So the Wallabies take the penalty. Siya Kolisi is forced to watch until about the 26th minute. So 16 minutes gone. The Wallabies take the line out on the far side of the field, 10-meter line, wrap around, and the ball comes out to Karevi, who places it back from McDermott into the hands of Phillips. They're nearing the 22 of the Springboks, driving hard through the middle. The ball comes out to Cooper now, into the hands of one of the forwards there. The ball is set. There's contesting by Dwayne Vermeulen, but the Wallabies have the ball out to Phillips again, the number 5 lock, who's tackled just about 10 meters outside the 22. Ball goes to the far side of the field, down the back line. Korobeti out to Andrew Kellaway, and they make it over the try line. Easy run in there at the end for, it looks like, Andrew Kellaway, and he places scores the try just to the far side of the uprights for the Wallabies, and they have the first try of the match. It's 11 points to 6 with 16 minutes gone. Great backline move there, stretching the defense of the Springboks. Korobeti getting it out to Callaway, cuts inside, and nobody touches him as he runs over the try line. Good score by the Wallabies.
Yeah, I'm afraid for once, Faf de Klerk rushing up and not making the tackle, which exposed the Springbok defense there. Very good inside step by Karevi, which got him away from de Klerk, and then there was plenty of space out wide.
Yes, apologies for that. Of course, it was Karevi, the center. Korobeti is the left wing, and Callaway was the right wing who scored the try there for the Wallabies. Good play. I mean, they're really playing a fast-paced game, the Wallabies. That's their only reprieve here against the power of the Springboks.
Just showing the dangers they present. If something does go awry in the Springbok defence, one missed tackle, and they spotted the space very quickly, and it was a good finish as well by Callaway to evade the cover defence.
The conversion is good by Quade Cooper, and it's 13 points to 6 now after 18 minutes in the first half. Sure. Let's see if the Springboks can strike back. Of course, we are mostly South African fans. Do go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, One World Sports Radio on YouTube. And remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button. Kickoff here by Pollard. It comes down just outside the 22 on the near side of the field. This time it is Korobeti, the left wing, who gathers, and he passes it to the forwards who set up the ruck here. Just outside the 22 on the near side of the field. McDermott has the ball at the back of the ruck, and he is going to kick. The ball is going to come down just inside the Australian 22. Knock on by Australia, and it's forward pass or knock on by Australia, and then passed out by Willie Leroux. No advantage there by the referee, so it must have been a Springbok knock on first, and the Springboks will have the scrum just inside the Wallaby half, or around the halfway mark on the near side of the field. Now, I wonder why they didn't give the knock-on advantage there, because it looked like it went back off the shoulder of Dwayne Vermeulen and then off the hands of Quade Cooper, but immediately the referee calling the scrum. Some attention to Eben Etzebeth. He's getting his fingers wrapped, and there's a bit of a break in play.
Just a bad couple of minutes for the Springboks. Just those 50-50 balls that have been a bit scrappy for them at the moment, and the Wallabies certainly look pretty slick with ball in hand.
Yes, definitely. They looked a bit scrappy at the beginning, but they've managed to to get that try with an excellent backline move. And the Springboks, of course, having their captain on the side of the field for just about another 6.5 minutes, just over 19 minutes played in the first half. And after this scrum, we'll throw the play-by-play back to you, Ken. After Clark has the ball, and let's see what the Springbok pack can do here. The scrum is set now and immediately goes to ground on the near side, but it looked like Banks again with his elbows on the ground. The Wallabies hooker Folau Fainga is staying down. He seems to have injured himself in that scrum collapse. So let's hope he's okay to continue. So we see a replay here. Stephen Kitsoff onto Banks, who puts his hand on the ground almost immediately after the engage was called. So he's lucky to get away with that once again. I know he did manage to keep his bind, but it's difficult to see where the problem actually was there. But Banks went down onto his head, and on the loose head side of the Springboks, it went down as well, on Stephen Kitsoff's side. And Fainga is okay to continue. They're setting the scrum up again. Still the ball with the Springboks, just inside the Springbok half, about 8 meters in from the near side touchline. Faf de Klerk is spinning the ball like a basketball player on the one finger there. The ball goes in now. Scrum is nice and stable. Collapsed again on this near side and the tight head side for the Springboks. The ball goes out to Andre Pollard. It takes the ball to the line, and the ruck is set on the halfway line. This one comes to the near side of the field. Missed pass collected by Loot de Jager, and he cleans up nicely. Position for the Springboks inside their 10-meter line. Faf de Klerk is lining up the box kick, goes up into the air, will come down just inside the 10-meter line and collected by Korebeti for the Wallabies. He's brought down by the Springboks, and they get the penalty. The Springboks get the penalty with good work there by Dwayne Vermeulen, who went into the contact area there and got his hands onto the ball. Marika Korebeti collecting that high kick, evading the first tackle and the second, cutting back inside. He's brought down, and then Dwayne Vermeulen gets his hands on the ball. Good work there by the Springbok number 8.
Yeah, welcome back, Dwayne Vermeulen. Korebeti was looking rather dangerous there. So a timely intervention with the Springboks 13-6 down. Andre Pollard is lining up the kick at goal. And if he succeeds, it will cut the deficit to 4 points. It's quite a tricky kick. He's just the halfway side of the 10-meter line, and it's probably about 10 meters in from touch. So certainly his toughest kick so far.
Yep, coming up on to 22 minutes played. 13 points to 6 to the Wallabies.
Here's Pollard kicking, and it is just past the right-hand upright. So a missed penalty there by Andre Pollard. 13-6. The score remains to the Wallabies. Pollard kind of knew from the moment he struck it, I think, that it was going to be touch and go.
Yeah, raising his hands up onto his head and grimacing as he watches the ball sail just past the right-hand upright. Cooper now with the 22-meter dropout.
And Cooper goes pretty much straight down the field, actually. And it's to Pollard, who immediately launches the up and under. He's going to come down just inside the Australian 10-meter line. Taken by Dwayne Vermeulen, but I fancy he spilled it forward at Cook. Korebeti was away with the ball there down the touchline. But a timely cover tackle by Faf de Klerk. But they'll come back for the knock-on by Dwayne Vermeulen.
Yeah, he managed to get to the ball, but was immediately into contact as he came down with Tom Banks crashing into him, losing the ball there. And I think that's where they judged the knock-on by the Springboks. So Sabu and Corsi going in there to try and clean up, but the ball then squirted out, and Marika Korobetti was all over that and down the near side touchline, but back for the scrum we go.
Yeah, and it's a scrum 5 meters in from touch on the Wallaby 10-meter line.
Yeah, only 7-man scrum for the Springboks.
McDermott fields and breaks blind. Faf de Klerk takes care of him though, flings him to the ground. Australia get the ball back. Karavi to Bell, who makes it up to the halfway line. McDermott digging again, goes to a short pod led by Matt Phillip. Dwayne Vermeulen again digging for the ball, and the Springboks have won the penalty.
Yes. Another one for going off their feet there, says the referee, sealing off the ball. The Wallabies know the danger of the contact area against the Springboks. So we see a replay of a good tackle there by Faf de Klerk on McDermott. The Wallabies had no choice but to lie all over that ball. Ends up that Matt Phillip, the number 5 lock there, got the ping for from the referee. Siakulisi is almost ready to come back. 24.5 minutes gone, and the Springboks set up the line out just outside the 22 of the Wallabies on the near side of the field.
Mbonambi throws in. They go to the back. Lut Diaga takes it, but he's lost the ball. But that's because a Wallaby player was bashing into his kidneys while he was still in the air. That must have been very painful, and the Springboks have the penalty.
Yep, taking out the support is the call by the referee, or early shove underneath, and the Springboks go for the line out again on the near side touchline, and it should be time now for Kolisi to come back, or almost a few seconds. So if he's not back for this line out, yes, he comes back for the line out. So the captain is back on the field, and we conceded a try while he was off, but other than that, no real major damage done.
So 5-meter line out for the Springboks. Mbonambi goes to Diaga, and the Wallabies have taken him out in the air again. The referee, Luke Pearce's hand is raised for advantage. The Springboks have the maul going. Out it comes to Faf de Klerk, who breaks, puts a little cover through. Dialendi and gathers. Has he managed to get it down? No, there's a Australian body kind of in the way there. Scrum off take McDermott. Damien Dialenda was chasing the ball, but I fancy the upright kind of got in his way. But Lucanio managed to gather. Did he manage to get it down? The referee is called for the TMO.
Yeah, good play there by Faf de Klerk with the penalty advantage, taking the ball from the maul as the maul was going backwards a little bit for the Springboks, with half their players having their feet taken out from underneath them. We see Dialende missing the ball. Lucanio collects the ball and then loses it as he tries to dive over Andrew Callaway in defense there for the Wallabies. No try. And they'll come back for the penalty. So a good decision there by Faf de Klerk to take the risky play and maybe get the try outright, as he just sent the grubber kick into the in-goal area where Lucanio almost got it down. Just a little bit over eager. They had enough, didn't have a lot of time on the ball, but the Wallabies will face another penalty here. What are the Springboks going to do? I think that's a line out. Yeah. Okay, cool. In pretty much the same place as the previous line out. And the Wallabies have to be very careful not to play the jumper in the air again, because surely it would be a yellow card for the third time in a row. It's Diaga taken again. The Wallabies hold off a bit this time, which allows the Springboks to set them all well. They've going a bit sideways, but now they rumble forward, just short of the line. Australians have collapsed it. It's an advantage shown by the referee. Faf de Klerk is clearing Australians right out from his side of the maul, and the referee reckons the ball won't come out, and Australia will get a yellow card. Quite rightly, one fancy, because they killed that ball right on their try line, and it's 3 penalties in a row they've given away. It's their number 5 lock, Matt Phillip, who will spend 10 minutes now in the sin bin. So the referee must have warned the Wallabies for a team warning. As we see a replay here, Matt Phillip just almost getting a hold of the ball carrier Mbonambi there, but then the referee says he collapsed the ball intentionally, and that was the last straw for the English referee, sending Matt Phillip into the cooler for 10 minutes.
I'm not sure you need a team warning 2 meters from your try line, as the Springboks set the maul again. And again, they sort of spinning it to their right. And Mbonambi's got the ball, though. It's again very close to the try line. And the Wallabies have...
I think this is a replay.
Once again, yes, I've also got a replay, yeah.
Not the first time that's happened on One World Sports Radio. Yes.
Now we've got
so there has to be
just another replay. No, I'm not too sure. It's,
it is. I think it is. Yeah, it's another replay. There's some kind of break in play. 29, just about 20 seconds to go to the 30-minute mark. Yes, it was. Those were all replays. We see the live action back as the water carriers are jogging off the field now, and the Springboks set the line out once again on the 5-meter line on the near side of the field, 5 meters away from the Wallabies goal line. Yeah.
Mbonambi throws in. It's towards the back again. Franco Mostert this time takes the ball. The maul is set. Mbonambi has the ball at the back. It's slowly making progress. The Bok maul, 3 meters from the line now. Mbonambi, time's over. He's got the try. And the Springboks have their first try in the 28th minute.
Excellent work there by the Springboks. The Wallabies tried to collapse the maul, but they managed to move themselves away from the Wallabies players that were lying prone on the ground in that maul's way, and just brought the maul to the near side of the field, to the blind side. And the Wallabies, after the failed attempt to collapse that maul, didn't have enough players behind the ball, and we see the South Africans just swinging the tail end of the maul to the blind side as they went forward, and Bongi Mbonambi crashing over with the ball at the back of the maul there, and pumping in his fist in delight as he's lying on the ground there. He knows he scored another great try for the Springboks, the number 2 from the Stormers and Western Province. So Pollard with the conversion.
Yeah, Mbonambi's 8th test try. Twice they swung it to the open side of the maul as Pollard swings his conversion just wide of the pole. So twice the Springbok maul swung the open side way, and then that third time they went to the blind side, and Bongi Mbonambi over for the try. So 13-11, Australia still lead with 11 minutes left in the first half.
Sure. Okay, so let's... will you do the next phase of play for us, Ken? And then I'll take us through to half time.
Yeah. As Quade Cooper kicks off into the Springboks 22. Dwayne Vermeulen gathers and charges forward over the 22-meter line. Great run by the 8th man. De Klerk puts in the box kick. Of course, he in chase again. It's up to the halfway line. That's very well taken by Tom Banks, leaping high. And then his forwards drive him over the halfway line. It looks like there might be an advantage for the Wallabies as Cooper tries a little chip kick over the top. It's gathered by DLND, but indeed there is advantage for the Springboks being offsides.
Yeah, the Springboks thought that ball was out, so did I, but the referee saying, no, you came through around the ruck there too quickly. And they're going to have a penalty just about on the halfway line on the near side of the field. Bit of a discussion here by the Wallabies team trying to figure out what they're going to do with this penalty. 10 minutes to go in the first half. They go for the line out on the near side touch line. Wow, what a penalty kick there by Quade Cooper. The line out is set 7 meters from the Springbok try line on the near side of the field. And let's hope that the Springboks can contest this Wallabies ball. The Wallabies are down a lock. So that's probably what they were considering, whether they would be able to maul this over the Springbok try line. Of course, very, very difficult to defend the maul. As Feingaard puts it in, it goes to the middle of the line out. McDermott gets it immediately out to Korobeti coming in from the left wing. He gets tackled and gets up once again, and there's McDermott now 5 meters from the line, sends it into his forwards. There's ruck is set 6 meters out. Angus Bell gets the ball there. This time it's out to Quade Cooper, and Kerevi gets the ball. He's tackled 10 meters from the far side touchline. The ruck is behind the advantage line. McDermott gets the ball now to the near side of the field, out to Quade Cooper. To the back it goes to Callaway. Coming in from the right wing, there's a penalty advantage to the Wallabies. Inside the 22 they go. Quade Cooper tries to attack the advantage line and gets the ball now to one of his forwards. They are about 8 meters inside the Springbok 22. The ball goes to the far side to Bell, and then to Valentini, the number 8. And the ruck is set there. There's contesting by Kickoff there on the ball. So there's no problem there, says the referee. But the Springboks were offside earlier in play. And the referee steps back for the penalty right in front of the posts, about 8 meters away from the Springbok try line. So the Wallabies going away from the contact there off that line out, and they've signaled now to Quade Cooper that he must, Michael Hooper signals to Quade Cooper that he must take the 3 points.
Yeah, I think the Wallabies, Quade Cooper doesn't have the biggest boot, and there's no Reece Hodge on the field just yet, so a penalty around halfway, they were always going to kick to touch. And you could see that they definitely weren't any ideas of mauling it, because they sort of set up a fake half-hearted maul, but very quickly the ball was shifted out to the runners in the back line, who did a good job there, setting up another penalty.
Yes, so catching the Springboks just over-eager on defense and stepping over the offside line there. Quade Cooper strikes this now, and it's an easy one right in front of the posts, and it's another 3 points to the Wallaby score. 16 points to 11 they lead now with just under 8 minutes to go, is it? So let's see if the Springboks can get a score in here before halftime. The Springboks have only led for short periods of time, but haven't led since the Wallaby try. This kickoff by Pollard is deep into the 22, where it's collected by, it looks like Callaway, who sends this ball down the field, hasn't found touch, collected by, it looks like Willie Leroux there. The Wallaby saying that the ball did reach the touch line, and the assistant referee on the near side agrees the line out is set just inside the Springbok half, and the Springboks will have the put into the line out there. Good clearance there by the Wallabies off the kickoff. So they're straight back into the Springbok half. And let's see if the Springboks can maul it halfway across the field, because they've got 8 against 7 in the forwards. Full complement of line out, but it's well contested by the Wallabies, gathered by off the tap by McDermott, and it goes out to Korobeti, it looks like, who sends the kick to the far side of the field outside the 22. Willie Leroux with the left boot sends it high into the air. The ball is going to come down to Banks inside the Wallabies half. He kicks to the far side of the field. In reply, Willie Leroux catches the ball cleanly inside the 22 and will claim the mark. So it's good positional play here by the Wallabies. They're forcing play to be executed inside the Springbok half and now inside the 22. Although the Springboks will clear this now, but they will have to put into the line out. Let's see where Willie Leroux can set this line out for the Wallabies. They take it quickly on the far side of the field. Quade Cooper is over his own 10-meter line, out to Korobeti, the number 11, evades one tackle. Faf de Klerk just helps him to the ground after he stumbles a little bit. McDermott gets the ball out, but it's intercepted by Lucanio Am, and he's got the support there from his forward. Faf de Klerk has the ball inside the 10-meter line, out to Pollard to the near side, and they go over the 10-meter line of the Wallabies, with the ball going out to Siyakulisi, who tries to keep the ball in field, and he manages to do so, but no, says the assistant referee. There is a foot in touch by Siyakulisi on the near side, just outside the 22 of the Wallabies, just running out of space there. The Springboks with a good-looking counter-attack, but too wide in their attack there. Lucanio, I'm just getting in between McDermott and Quade Cooper. and he was not offside there. It was open play. And we see Kolisi just gathering the ball and getting rammed over the touchline by Lachlan Swinton there, who shadowed his opposite number very well. The Wallabies put the ball into the line out. They set up the maul, but the referee says that was jumping across by the Springboks in the line out. It's a penalty to the Wallabies just outside their 22 on the near side 15-meter line. That's disappointing from the Springboks. They really should have done a better job of contesting, or at least putting some pressure, trusting their defense. But technical error there by the Springboks. And Tom Banks will send this ball flying down the field now with his right foot. He comes forward now. He's just outside his 22, strikes this one, good-looking kick. And it's going to set up the line up for the Wallabies just inside the 10-meter line of the Springboks. They've got their yellow-carded player back. Matt Phillip is back on the field. So there's 4 minutes to play, 3 minutes to play in the first half. The Wallabies lead 16 points to 11.
That Lockie Swinton hit on Sia Kolisi, forcing him into touch. I wouldn't have minded seeing that again, just to see exactly how many arms were used in the tackle. Looked a bit like a shoulder charge to me, but anyway.
Yeah. Goes to the front of the line out from Feingar, and Cooper digs it out, gets it to Cooper. Hooper gets it out to Cooper, gets it to Valentini, and they're just outside the 22 now. McDermott breaks inside, but is immediately tackled by Kitsoff. Hooper plays scrum half. He breaks through the middle, and he goes over the 22 now. He's got support from Valentini, who's 5-6 meters out from the Springbok try line in the middle of the park. They go to the near side of the field, but it's a bit scrappy. Korobeti has the ball now, comes back inside, gets it out to one of the forwards there. It looks like Swinton, who comes 7 meters from the Springbok try line. The ball goes to the middle of the field where Phillip gets it to McDermott. Quade Cooper tries to sidestep to the defense, but he's tackled 6 meters from the line, right in front of the post. The ball goes to the far side of the field. Kerevi tackled there, and the ball is now picked up and driven through the middle, but Faf de Klerk stops that move. McDermott has got the ball now and out to Quade Cooper, who goes to the far side of the field. He's gang tackled by Kulisi and good possession again for McDermott here on the far side of the field, about 15 meters out now. They go back to 10 meters. McDermott inside ball for, it looks like Banks there coming in. This one is popped up for the tight head prop, who loses it forward for the Wallabies, and that'll be a scrum to South Africa with a knock-on on the 5-meter line, attacking knock-on there for Alan Alatoa as he got the ball. He made a good run there off McDermott, off the side of the ruck coming around, but just losing the ball as he collected it from McDermott. No, it was lost in contact there as he went into Lotte Jager. And the Wallabies recollected that, so no advantage, and it's a scrum to the Springboks. About 5 meters inside, to the near side of the uprights, and a defensive scrum for the Springboks. 15 against 15 once again for this scrum. So let's see what the Springboks can do here. And
well, the Springboks showed it a couple of times against the British and Irish Lions just before halftime. Heroic defence. And one feels again that this might have been an absolutely crucial passage of play. Australia 16-11 ahead, a try here, and they could have had a 12-point lead going into the break, which would be a big mountain to climb for the Springboks in the second half.
Oh, yes, that would have been a small disaster for the Springboks before halftime. And the defence still looking as good as against the British and Irish Lions, but the Wallabies are playing a far wider game. So they're not taking on the big forwards. They're trying to get the ball out to the backs and trying to create some mismatches there between forwards and backs, wider of the breakdown. So they are getting ready to set the scrum now. The locks are in. Faf de Klerk has the ball. The referee calls for the bind, and the scrum is set now. Faf de Klerk gets the ball in now. Very steady scrum by both teams, but the Wallabies pushing forward, and there's a penalty to the Wallabies, and they are cock-a-hoop, jumping around and shouting and rejoicing. Very good work there by the Wallabies. Just before halftime, it looks like there's about a minute to go before halftime, and they have the penalty on the 5-meter line, and the referee says that's for the Springboks popping up under pressure there. And indeed, it was Stephen Kitsoff first to pop out of the scrum. Good scrum there by the Wallabies. Good attacking defensive scrum. And the Springboks failing to hold back the Wallabies pack just before half time. Let's see what they do with this one, if they're going to set the line out or take the 3 points. And indeed, they will take the 3. Time is up on the clock, 16 points to 11. The Wallabies lead, and Quade Cooper will just bump this one over the crossbar. He hasn't missed a kick yet, but he's had some really easy kicks so far in this match, thanks to some good work by the Wallabies and just some small technical errors by the Springboks, I would say. But that scrum by the Wallabies was a monster, so they deserve the penalty there. Comes forward now, gets it over the crossbar. And if you are listening to us on YouTube, thank you very much. 19 points to 11 is the score, halftime. I'm not sure what our producer is going to do for us during the halftime break, but do join us in about 15, 20 minutes time for the second half of Australia versus South Africa from the Seabus Stadium in the Gold Coast. If you are listening to us on the other feeds on our 1WSR.com website or on TuneIn, we'll probably play you some cricket highlights. It's a super Saturday here on One World Sports Radio. Brad Binder is in the MotoGP. The Springboks, of course, playing now. We won't be broadcasting the MotoGP, but the Proteas men taking on Sri Lanka in the second T20, and we'll be broadcasting that from about, I think, 3:30 South African time. But just keep an eye out. If you have the notification button on YouTube switched on, you'll get notified when we go live on air. Thank you very much for listening. Ken, any thoughts from your side about the first half?
Yeah, very disappointing half for the Springboks, really. Too many mistakes, and just very worrying that last scrum, because that's meant to be an area of strength for the Springboks. They're giving away fairly soft penalties whenever the Wallabies are inside their territory. So the Springboks certainly really need to up their game in the second half. The Wallabies showing that they're shifting the ball around very quickly from contact, and they are certainly stretching that Springbok defence. Much for them to do.
Thanks a lot, Ken, and we look forward to reading your coverage of the game. I believe you're off to go and knock that out the park for us, and let us know when that's ready so we can retweet and share and go and read up after the game. Thanks very much. It was lots of fun, and hope to see you back soon on the air. Coach Dave will be joining me in the second half. Thanks for listening, and see you just now.
Thanks, Otto. Enjoy the second half.
Bye-bye. Hello and welcome back. We are ready to go for the second half of the first test between South Africa and Australia since the 2019 Rugby Championship. I'm joined by Coach Dave. Thank you so much for listening. Coach Dave, how have you been?
Yeah, well, thank you, Otto. Thank you for carrying us through that first half with Ken. It was a frustrating half if you're a Springbok fan. Both tries coming for either side when the opposition was a man down through the sin bin. So the discipline was missing there in the first half. But I think, as all good rugby fans know, the second half is going to be where it's won or lost.
Yeah, I think the Springboks can make up the 8 points. Can they make up the 8 points and hold on for 40 minutes? We'll have to see. And hopefully we see some better discipline. And, the Wallabies are playing away from the Springbok strengths really well coached team.
Absolutely, and it's just narrow margins. That try in the first half for the Wallabies came from a missed tackle by Faf de Klerk, and it's such high risk rugby you play when you put rushmen into that space, and so as a result of that, the Springboks with the missed tackle conceding a try. So both teams, making the most of minor errors from the opposition, and I think, Otto, you can attest as much as I can that a small error at this level between these two types of teams, the caliber of these two teams, you're going to get punished as we see a substitution for the Wallabies, Nick White making his way onto the park.
Yes, indeed. So we'll see when the Springboks bring on their replacements. And it just occurred to me that Ken and I didn't take you through the South African replacement, so apologies for that. We've got from 16 to 23, Malcolm Marx, Oxenche, and Vincent Koch, the replacement front row, Marco van Staden, Kwagga Smit, Jasper Wiese, Herschel Jantjies, and Damian Willemse with a 6-2 split on the bench for the Boks. And it's in the back line where the Springboks are getting attacked by the Wallabies. The Wallabies are playing away from the forwards. And when the Springboks have the ball, the Wallabies are swarming the breakdown areas and frustrating the possession for the Boks. So let's see what happens in the second half. Coach Dave, you're going to take us through the first 10.
Definitely, there was an early bit of pressure there on the Wallabies from the kickoff from Handré Pollard. It was Lachlan Swinton from the Australian side, the flanker, was put under some pressure, and the Springboks through a knock-on meant that they were able to get a bit of a penalty advantage going there. But the pass, as they try to throw things wide to Lucanio was knocked on, and so the South African centre conceding a penalty there for the men in green and gold. Remember that this is the home game for the Springboks in inverted commas, because both teams are playing, all four teams rather are playing in Australia in the Gold Coast, and so we're just going to have to see how things go. For both teams, it is a home game for the Springboks, but I don't think there are too many men supporting the Springbok. Nick White here with the feed into the scrum. The South Africans immediately putting massive pressure on the Wallabies here. They've collapsed, have the Wallabies, and the Springboks getting a penalty there. The guilty man there is Angus Bell for the Wallabies. So the Springboks coming out here with fire early on here, Otto.
Yes, indeed. That's good to see. Just before Nick White was able to put the ball into the scrum, his loose head lost his bind and put his hand on the ground, and that's an immediate penalty right in front of the referee as he was watching Nick White attempt to put that ball in. And that's we haven't seen scrum dominance from the Springboks. The scrum penalties that they did manage to get were all before the ball had gone in, or from collapsed scrums, not the outright shove that the Wallabies put on us just before half time.
The resulting penalty hits the left-hand upright. The Wallabies are now having the opportunity to clear their lines. It's Swinton once again, who is going through the motions there. He's managed to get his team over the 22, and Quade Cooper with the clearance there as he lobs it downfield. Dwayne Vermeulen clearing up in his own between 10 and 22 on the far side of the park. Remember, the Springboks are playing right to left, the Wallabies left to right. Faf de Klerk now to Lut de Jager, who takes that into contact. He's got Frans Malherbe and Bongi Mbonambi in support. Faf de Klerk is immediately run over, but guys coming in the wrong side of the road there means that Faf de Klerk was hammered by 2 forwards, and there's a bit of argy-bargy pushing and shoving. Nobody tell Yebet Etzebeth, because I think if he gets stuck in, there's going to be problems here.
Yeah, and we saw this from Argentina as well. They're trying to get up the noses of the Springboks, and it looks like the Springboks staying nice and calm in that situation there. That was Ala Alatoa and Matt Phillip monstering Faf de Klerk there, and then a shove after a bit there from Matt Phillip. And we hope that the Springboks can just stay calm.
The idea was completely correct there from the Wallabies, but the timing of the execution, he hadn't lifted it out of the ruck, and so that's why they were penalized there. It's going to be a line out and probably a maul from the box here. They've done really well with the maul in the second part of the first half, and so they're going to put pressure on the Wallabies on their own 22, far side of the park. Mbonambi is going to probably look for either Franco Mostert here or Lut de Jager. He does find de Jager, and it's a fair maul. South Africa now with the shove on. The Wallabies piling men in gold into that maul. The South Africans eventually do get over the 22. Faf de Klerk coming to Marshall from behind, drive traffic. It's a good bit of work here from the Springboks. They're getting some serious forward drive here. Good bit of stuff. Yes, far side of the park. Bongi Mbonambi hasn't let go of it just yet. The momentum is still with the Springboks. They're lining up options. Both centers are there. It is to Dialenda, who's got Spoonkorsi with him in support rather. And the referee's blown the whistle. Guilty man is Quade Cooper, who's not behaving there at ruck time. And so South Africa have a penalty in a very kickable area.
Yes, it's an excellent maul there by the Springboks. Use it once, said the referee, and then they moved forward another 5 meters or so. And yes, Pollard will take the 3, trying not to hit the posts this time. And as Dialende went to ground there, the Wallabies are not able to roll away, and so they get penalized as Michael Hooper making a nuisance of himself there. If it weren't for that, his entry was also just a little bit from the side there, as he was a assistant tackler. So he had to let go and then go back around the back of the ruck, but he didn't do that. So Pollard's got a relatively easy kick here.
Relatively easy, though, but the frustration for the South Africans is that Handré Pollard has been 100% up until this game. And, going into that kick, he'd only slotted, that, including that, the third. So just a frustrating time for the Springbok number 10, but good for him that he gets through the polls there just to make sure that they get those 3 points. So South Africa still trail, though, by 5 as we cross into the 46th minute. This one is hanging high, far side of the park. Good catch in the end by Dwayne Vermeulen because he bobbled it the first time. He gets over the 22. Faf de Klerk looking like he's setting up for an opportunity here for Eben Etzebeth. He does. He's got Kitsoff and Franco Mostert in support, but the South Africans are immediately penalized outside their own 22. Oh dear, this ill discipline from the Springboks, both in unforced errors and just general players is a concern for us, Otto.
Yes, and every time the Springboks score, the Wallabies manage to hit back almost immediately. They've got the penalty now on the far side of the field, just outside the Springbok 22. Eben Etzebeth is down, getting some attention from the physios there. So it looked like the Springboks were penalized for going off their feet at the ruck there. It's an area of the game that our players are not really used to. We see a lot of that tactic, I could say, from the Southern Hemisphere teams. We see a replay here. Eben Etzebeth gets hammered by Lockie Swinton with no arms whatsoever onto the side of his head and the shoulder. So it looks like the Springboks will get away with this. After that contact, Eben Etzebeth going down, and Yeah.
There's literally no attempt for arms there. He's literally hit his right arm behind his back there and just gone straight in with the
Yeah. Both elbows are down, and the referee is signaling the same, that there was no attempt to get the arms up and around the tackled player by Lockie Swinton, and he's in trouble here. Let's see what the referee says, because it looked to me like there might have been initial contact to the shoulder and then sliding up to the head. That might save Lockie Swinton from a more serious sanction. Looks like it's only a penalty, because the initial contact was on the shoulder, but it hit the side of his shoulder, went up to hit the side of Ibn Itzebet's head, and the Springboks get the penalty. They kick it out to the far side of the field on the halfway line, and that's just over 7 minutes gone in the second half. Malcolm Marx is on the field.
Absolutely. A bit of a get out of jail free for both teams. There should have been a card there and there wasn't, and the Springboks should have been under pressure and they weren't. So good catch there by Lut Joche. The Wallabies hammering the Springboks here as we see them getting some forward momentum here. But the second shove comes on by the Springboks. Marx at the back of the maul here. It's collapsed since then. De Klerk with an up and under, looking for Spoon Corsi maybe to receive, but that one's gone into touch. And so there will be a line out for the Wallabies. It was one that swirled in the air for the South African halfback, but not quite getting the distance he would have hoped for.
14 points to 9, and the Wallabies are back in possession. And that's wasn't a good kick there by Faf de Klerk. Too close to the far side touchline when he sent that ball up into the air, and it just drifted over the far side touchline.
South Africa winning against the throw there with that line out on the halfway mark. Malcolm Marx taking it into contact. This ball goes as a cross kick now from Pollard to try find Makazole Mapimpi. He takes a wonderful catch there, but it's knocked on, looks like just over halfway, and rather yes, there was a double knock on the first one from Makazole Mapimpi. The wind is clearly playing serious havoc here at the Siba Stadium. And the South Africans not quite getting the weight of their kicks right. We're just having a look at the replay here. He goes up for the catch. He catches it. Great work from the Wallabies to watch them there, the Springboks, because if you get Makazole Mapimpi with a bit of space, you're under pressure. And so knock on once again, and there's going to be a scrum.
Yeah, he mistimed his jump there, Makazole Mapimpi, and he ended up having to reach forward for the ball, but it just squirted out of his reach, off his fingers, and for the knock-on. Let's see what the scrum is like. We've spotted Malcolm Marx replacing Bongi Mbonambi for the Springboks. We'll try and keep an eye out for any other replacements that we see. Nick White has the ball just inside Australia's half on the near side of the field.
They packed down now, literally maybe 3 meters inside the Wallabies half, but a massive scrum here from the Springboks. They're able to get it out, the Wallabies, through to Quade Cooper, who finds his partner in Samu Kirevi to try and get something from that. But the resultant kick is an absolutely splendid one, Otto, as you take us through the next 10 minutes. Just talk us through that kick. What a kick from Nick White.
Yeah, he spotted Makazole Mapimpi there up too shallow and found the space just behind the South African left winger. Very good tactical kick there from Nick White, as we see Makazole Mapimpi leaving his line there unguarded on the left-hand side. So they are pinning the Springboks back, and for some reason it's a throw into the Wallabies. They take this now outside the 22. They go quickly to the back line, and it's oh, yes, of course. Okay, so we see the Wallabies carrying the ball up now. They are about 12 meters from the Springbok line in the middle of the park. They go to the far side now, and looks like Swinton there. It's picked up by White again on the far side. Players tackled there on the second attempt by the Springboks on the far side of the field, about 10 meters out from the Springbok try line. They need to keep their discipline, the Springboks. Swinton goes back outside to Cooper, goes to, it looks like Ala Alatoa there. The ball is recycled by White. They're playing across the field now to the near side. Banks back to White, tries to get the ball out to the outside center there. Len Ikitau but it's an attempted intercept by Willie Leroux, and he knocks the ball on over the touchline on the near side of the field, just inside the 22. And they're going to have a look here at something, the referees. 19 points to 14.
I think that the question will be here whether or not he's intentionally knocked it down or genuinely tried to catch it for a follow-up. But there also the question about offside, because there was a penalty advantage first. They're going to have a look here.
And they're gonna have a look also. Is that player unmarked? But there were 3 Springboks coming around in cover defence, so I don't think that'll be a penalty try against Willie Leroux for that. He's only managed to get one hand to the ball, which is never good in this situation, as far as the referees are concerned. Nick White is livid. He collects the ball. Willie Leroux tries to do the intercept there.
I'm sorry, but that behavior by Nick White, throwing his gum guard straight into the ground, is disgusting and should be stomped out of. I mean, really, we're not football players here. We're not crying like we're babies. I mean, if you don't like it, just say yes, sir, and move on. I mean,
no, nobody's ever won an argument with a referee in a professional sports match. So it's like arguing. I once heard one of my friends say, it's like arguing with a bartender about the price of the drinks. You're not going to win that argument. No. So let's see what exactly are they looking for here.
There's going to be a yellow card. I think that's what they're looking at, is whether or not this was an intentional thing. I don't think it was an intentional knock on. I think he was trying to
go for the ball, and also maybe
it's a yellow card for Willie Leroux. He's not happy. He's shaking his head, but nevertheless he has to go off, and South Africa don't get a penalty try that they concede. But the referee here making sure everybody just takes a deep breath and relaxes. I think that's the key.
And they're coming back for an offside penalty in the middle of the park here inside the 22 of the Springboks. 14 points to 19 after 52 minutes, almost just over 51 minutes. So, excuse me. What's Michael Hooper going to do here? Quade Cooper is handed the tee, so they're going to go for another easy 3 points for Quade Cooper right in the middle of the park. Springboks offside. Quade Cooper is going to kick for goal.
Yeah, he'll probably slot this quite comfortably. I would be surprised if he doesn't. But that means that the Wallabies will extend their lead to 7 points. Remember that they kind of have bossed most of this game.
Back out to 8 points after South Africa managed to get a penalty.
3. Sorry, you're right. It's just 3 points. I'm thinking of conversions. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So Quade Cooper just to the right of the uprights, near side of the field, but
33 years of age. Wonderful to see this kind of experience on the park, and especially at fly half.
He goes forward now. Simple kick for Quade Cooper. The Wallabies move their lead out to 8 points, 22 points to 14. All to do here for the Springboks with just about 28 minutes to go now. And it doesn't look like the Springboks are particularly dangerous unless they get some kind of reorganizing of their attacking play. Dave Rennie, the Australian coach, has done a wonderful job along with his coaching staff for the Wallabies here. They are absolutely brilliant in their tactical play. Pollard has the ball now in the middle of the park, sends it high up into the air to the far side. It's going to come down tight on the far side touchline inside the 22, collected by Matt Phillip. Wallabies set the ruck, and they set another ruck here, also inside the 22. And it looks like the Springboks have got this ball back. How, I'm not sure, but we don't care. And into contact goes Vincent Koch, who has replaced. I see there's still another prop there on the field. Into the middle of the park goes Malcolm Marks. They're over the 22 now, to the near side of the field where Jasper Wiese takes a heavy contact. And there's a fight for the ball, but it's collected by Vincent Koch from fetching that ball outside of the contact. Goes to the middle of the park again from Faf de Klerk. The ruck is set, And there's another fight forward by the Springboks. They're looking a bit more intense now. Faf de Klerk out to Vincent Koch, who's still on the field. Sorry, that would be Stephen Kitsoff. And the ball goes out to the far side once again. Another ruck set up. This time it goes to the near side. And it is Hooper in there fighting for the ball for the Wallabies, and he gets the penalty. Good work by this Australian captain, and they absorb the pressure there pretty well, the Wallabies, and they have the relief inside their own 22. The Springboks getting over the advantage line, but not enough support there for Malcolm Marx, and he's forced to surrender the penalty to Michael Hooper, who was there immediately. And even in the slow motion, you could see how long it took the support players to clear Michael Hooper. And he's getting some hugs from his fellow Wallabies.
Springbok fans will have flashbacks, horrible nightmare flashbacks to 2015 in that Rugby World Cup, where Michael Hooper was a quintessential antagonist to the South African effort. And we're just seeing Marco van Staden coming on the park. He's also got Kwagga Smith, who's also come on, and Sio Kolisi is the man who makes way for Marco van Staden. So South Africa bringing on their bench. We haven't seen Oxen Chair on just yet, but I'm sure he will replace Stephen Kitsoff momentarily. But South Africa making a couple of changes here. Dwayne Vermeulen's also off the park, as Otto called. Jesper Visser is on the park as we see Oxen Chair warming up nicely.
So Oxen Chair, the Lucid, still to replace Stephen Kitsoff. So Loot de Jager is still on the field. I would imagine that Franco Mostert will move to lock, and Jasper Visser and Kwagga Smith, Marco van Staden will make up the back three. The Wallabies putting the ball into the line out here on their own 10-meter line, and the ball goes out to Cooper into Samu. No, that's the number 8 there, goes back to Cooper, who sends this ball to the far side of the park and finds the grass there. But Sabu Nkosi collects there down on the Springbok 10-meter line. The ball bobbles around there a little bit. And who has possession here? It will be the Springboks for a knock-on by the Wallabies in that messy catch attempt there. 14 points to 22. 55 and a half minutes gone just about. And it's a penalty to the Springboks on their own 10-meter line. We see that
it was number 12, Samu Karevi.
Samu Karevi went up there, but just couldn't collect it, and it bounced off his hands for a knock-on. We see number 16 on the park, Feleti Kaitu'u, replacing Folau Fainga, and Alan Alatoa going off. Taniela Tupou will be the man replacing him. So I'm not sure if Folau Fainga has been replaced, but it was in fact Taniela Tupou coming on for Alan Alatoa for the Wallabies. Pollard sent this penalty kick to the far side of the field. Oxen Chair now comes on to replace the loosehead Stephen Kitsoff. And the line-out is set about 10 meters outside the 22 of the Wallabies on the far side of the field. Malcolm Marx is trying the ball, very humid there in the Gold Coast of Australia, the east coast of Australia. The line-out is slowly forming here for the Springboks. Malcolm Marx takes his time, goes now to the front of the line-out, collected by Loot de Jager, and they set the ball immediately. There's a little bit of go forward for the Springboks, and they are a bit static now, going forward once again towards the 22, but Faf de Klerk has to make use of this ball. Have the Wallabies managed to wrap this up? No, it goes to ground, but it's available for Faf de Klerk. He's going to use it now. He goes to Vincent Koch, who goes into contact with Oxen Chair, and Kwagga Smith there to support him. Faf de Klerk gets the ball and goes back into the pocket to Handré Pollard, who sends a high up and under to the near side of the field, where Makazole Mpimpi will try and collect it. Lucanio Am has the ball 4 meters now from the Australian touchline. They set up the ruck there. The support players arrive. Faf de Klerk goes inside to the middle of the park, where the ball is immediately sent into the ruck. Lucanio Am on the near side now, the blind side. Good counter ruck there by Australia. It looks like they might have secured possession, but Faf de Klerk managed to scrap with that opposite number of his. The ball goes now to Oxenche, who dives over a tackling player. And there's a good contest for the ball on the ground by the Australians. But the referee saying that there was an entry from the side by
it was
one
also
of the
not
Australian
releasing
players.
He was also guilty of not releasing. It was a double blooper, so to speak, by the Australian hooker. Now they're going to go upstairs. Remember that cross kick that Otto spoke about, where Magazulu Mapimpi contested for it. They're going to go upstairs probably just to check whether or not the knock-on was happening there. If it didn't, that's where I think we're going to have a look. And we're also going to have a look at that.
We're having a look at
the tackle on Oxenche.
No arms in the tackle on Oxenche. It looks like he was diving over the tackling player, but that was the number 2 there for Australia, for Lau Feingaard, just going in with no arms onto the knees of Oxenche.
Again.
Just diving into
the
legs. Yeah. So they're having a look at that now, and let's see what they say about this one. But it was good work there by Oxenche. He saw what was happening and managed to keep his studs out of the ground, because that could easily bend his knees in all the wrong ways. So they're looking at replay after replay here in real time now. And Oxenche just surrendering possession as he went down. But
play.
Let's see what the referee says. He's gesturing, and
there's going to be a
going
yellow
to
card
his pocket.
There's going to be a yellow card here. The referee saying he got lucky there because Oxenche has kind of run on. Like you said, he managed to keep his studs out the ground there. And so now both sides are 14 men. South Africa still have 3 minutes or 3 minutes 17 on their yellow card, but they trail at this current point. So Australia will have the man advantage, or South Africa will have a man advantage in about 3 minutes as this one is kicked to the corner.
To the near side of the field, just about 58 minutes gone in this match. The Springboks trail the Wallabies by 14 points to 22. Malcolm Marx has the ball, and the lineout is ready. He goes to Loet de Jager in the middle of the lineout. The box set them all. They're about 6-7 meters out, 4 meters out, 3 meters out. Malcolm Marx has the ball at the back of the maul, and he's going down onto the touchline. It's a try to the Springboks. Malcolm Marx with the second maul try for the Springboks of this match. Very good work there by the Springbok pack. Once they set that maul, they only took steps forward and gained momentum. And Malcolm Marx diving over the line in between the legs of his teammates, just as the Wallabies managed to stop the forward momentum. Malcolm Marx went digging through his own players' legs there to the touchline, to the goal line, to get the try for the Springboks. And it is 19 points to 22 with the conversion to come. 58 minutes gone in the second half of this first test against Australia for the Springboks.
Yeah, the Wallabies with Michael Hooper there, not committing there. And I think by the time he tried to get involved, to get stuck in, that's where the gap was. And so the Springboks had that forward momentum. It's good to see Elton Yankees, the experienced campaigner, just relaying the words of the coach as we see the conversion.
And it sails neatly through the middle by Handré Pollard. And there's 1 point in it now. 21 to the Springboks, 22 to the Wallabies, coming up on 59 minutes in this test match. Sure, this is going to go down to the wire. Let's see if the Springboks can stop the Wallabies from hitting straight back. We see some South African supporters there. Bakgat is one of the signs there in the crowd. That's beautiful. Very nice to see some support for the Springboks there. And Quade Cooper will take the kickoff now for Australia. My final few minutes of play-by-play. I think once we have another breakdown in play, we'll pass the ball back to you, Coach Dave. Lockie Swinton leaves the field, and he will be replaced by, looks like Pete Samu, I think. We'll confirm that for you now. Kickoff here from Cooper goes to the far side of the field, deep inside the 22 of the Springboks, where it's collected by Jasper Visser, and he goes almost up to the 22. He's got support there. The ruck is formed. Faf de Klerk at the back with Frans Malherbe standing next to him, and he sends the ball high up into the Queensland Sky. It comes down inside just outside the 10-meter line of the Springboks. The Wallabies have the possession there, and they go back past the halfway line, and it's a good rush defense there by the Springboks, but the Wallabies might have outflanked them here. Cover defense comes in, and Valentini is tackled on the near side, just outside the 10 of the Springboks. Matt Phillip goes in. There's some contesting on the ground by the Springboks, who have the ball. Marco van Staden manages to... no, it was Jasper Wiese who got the ball there, but the referee saying, you were one of the tacklers. You didn't let go. He penalizes Jasper Wiese, and the Wallabies have the penalty inside the Springbok half, just outside the 10-meter line, 15 meters in from the near side touchline. Once again, the Wallabies coming straight back after conceding points, and the Springboks really need to work on their kickoff exit play. Looked like they managed to do it this time, but we'll see what the Wallabies decide. Is Reece Hodge on the field yet? Because Quade Cooper can't kick the ball this far. They'll have to go for the touchline. Nick White is talking to the referee as if he's the captain. I hope the referee tells him to keep it shut and let Cooper do the talking.
Disappear.
And Quade Cooper is going to go for poles. It's going to be the most difficult kick that he's attempted. Willie Leroux comes back onto the park for the Springboks, and you take it from here for us, Coach Dave.
Absolutely. Yes. 61 minutes and 20 seconds gone. There's 1 point between these two teams. This is going to be a close one. Willie Leroux comes back on the park. The South Africans are on their bonus point, and so the next try here could count quite heavily towards the standings of Rugby Championship 2021. Remember that the Springboks are the defending champions. In 2020, it was the Tri-Nations. It wasn't a Rugby Championship. So we still hold the trophy. We also hold the William Webb Ellis Trophy, as well as the British and Irish Lions Series Trophy. We're loving trophies at the moment, and long may that continue. But back at the Cbus Stadium here on the Gold Coast of Australia, South Africa are 1 point shy. Quade Cooper near side of the park on the South African 10-meter line. It's a monstrous kick that he's going to have to do here. But if he does, that means they will go ahead by 3 extra points. It'll take them to 25. They'll lead by 4. And so the South Africans will have to convert, or at least, at the very least, cross the whitewash and really to put salt in to make sure that they convert it. He steps up now. He slots it straight through the sticks. Does he have the distance? He does. The flags go up. The assistant referees are happy. And so the Australians lead by 4 points as we have a look at the fans of the Wallabies clapping their hands in appreciation for that. So, Otto, just over an hour gone. What is the plan here for Jacques Nienaber and his men from the Springboks in the last 20 or so minutes? Just under 20 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you in a bit as we see the kickoff.
Kickoff there, and the Springboks are immediately putting pressure on the Wallabies 22. Nick White having a look here. Jordan Petaia on for Andrew Kellaway for the Australians as they're still on their 22-meter line. The referees remonstrating with the Springboks to say, make sure you stay behind the line. Don't jump the gun just yet, as they set up here for a box kick from Nick White. It's looking like it's going to hang high, and it does, to hopefully find a Springbok player there. Jasper Wiese was put off there by a Wallaby man, and so he doesn't clean up there. The resultant cross kick from Quade Cooper is just in front of the Springbok 22, collected by Andre Pollard. He's brought down and he's immediately lobbed it into touch. Otto, I need to bring this up. The experience of Quade Cooper to find the space, number one, to see the space, and to kick it exactly where a Springbok isn't, is the hallmark of an experienced campaigner, as we see the fly half for South Africa being hammered there by Jordan Petaia, who's just come on.
Yes. And the kick is only as good as the chase. And indeed, Georgian Petaia, or however you pronounce his name, apologies for that if you're an Aussie fan. Coming up there, putting Pollard under immense pressure, and Makazolo Mapimpi just missing, Pollard in the momentum, passing that ball behind him over the touchline. Wallabies on attack once again.
Feleti Kaitu'u with the throw. Great bit of work there as the Wallabies now look to get some drive here with the maul. as he collects it at the back. Nick White looking for options, maybe a man to run onto the ball. He does, and there's a bit of a fumble there, but it's backwards. I spoke too soon. He's knocked it forwards. I really thought that Samu Karevi there had kind of just overrun his mark and it had gone backwards, but the Englishman with the whistle saying, sorry, fella, you have indeed knocked it forward. 65 minutes gone. It's 25-21 to the Australians. This is a South African home game, so to speak. As you'll see, if you are following along with us on the images, you'll see that there's, a local domestic airline that is the proud sponsor to the Springboks, whose name is painted on the field. But we'll see next week that it will be all the Australian sponsors that will be painted on the field. So it's a strange concept of having a home game in your opposition's territory. As we see, it looks like Handré Pollard is making his way off the park. Damian Willemse makes his way on. Valentini is the man for the Australians who comes off, as we see a bit of a shift in substitutes. So it's going to be interesting to see how this last little bit goes for both teams. There's about 15 minutes remaining in this game. Scrum time now, as Jasper Wiese lifts the back of his lock forwards there, and there's a huge scrum by the Springboks. My word. Immediately the Australians losing their footing and slipping, and my goodness me, that was a hammering. It was like there was no one home there. James Slipper, he's an experienced campaigner, but he was absolutely smashed there by the Springbok front row, and massive applause from Kwagga Smith there. Otto, what on earth happened there? He just folded like a marshmallow.
Yep, couldn't take the hit, and as Vincent Koch shoved forward there on the tight head for the Springboks, the James Slipper, the loose head there, just folded like a love letter, and penalty to the Springboks. They're back inside Australian half. This is where the Springboks need to play now. They can't afford to let the Aussies anywhere near their 22.
Just about 60 seconds left, probably about 80 seconds left to the Australian yellow card. The Springboks slowing down the game intentionally in the momentum and hopefully trying to catch the Wallabies from being complacent. Michael Hooper's right in the thick of this maul. There's players of both colors on either side of the maul. There's a use it once call there from the referee, but everybody's in everywhere. It's very much like a game of pickup sticks, and in the end, the South Africans are the ones who are penalized. It's a great bit of work there from the replacement hooker, Kai Tu'u, to snatch the ball away there from the box. This is going to be concerning. Yeah. South Africa have a man advantage, but it's going to fall away very quickly, Otto.
Yes, indeed. Good work by Australia here, just dismantling the Springbok maul and isolating the ball carrier with Kai Tu'u getting his hands on the ball and making sure that doesn't go anywhere except into the Wallaby scrum. So they will have a scrum inside their half. I think they're still outside their 22, but let's see if the Springboks can repeat the scrum performance that we saw in the second half. The scrum has looked a little bit better since the replacements for both sides are on the park. Nick White has the ball. Yeah, I think just to answer your question from earlier, the Springboks are just tactically falling apart a bit here. The Wallabies' tactical play far superior at the moment, led by Quade Cooper, Michael Hooper making the right decisions. They've got the execution down to a T. The game plan is very simple. Stay away from the South African forwards, attack their back line, get some mismatches in the back line, do the work off the ball, get to the breakdown, and that's South Africans are not doing that. So they're getting dominated in those breakdown areas away from the set pieces on the sides of the field. And that's where the Springboks need to improve. Yeah.
And you spoke about get away from the forwards. The South African game plan is essentially momentum through their forwards. And if you're starving them of possession and territory, you're going to have to find some other ways. So the South Africans there with a massive scrum there. Good bit of work by the Springboks. And Faf de Klerk looks like he's stolen it. So it might come out here on the side of the box. But there's a counter ruck by the Wallabies. It's thrown out there as Karevi gets some forward momentum. There's a break in the line there by the Wallabies. Good bit of work there from them to get some forward momentum. And then the Springboks able to get a penalty, There's immediately Willie Leroux runs up like a Jack Russell who wants a tennis ball, but it's Kwagga Smith who's done all the hard work there. As we see Lothiaga, oh boy, he looked like he had a loss of blood to the head there as he kind of fell over. But tell us about that work by Kwagga Smith there, Otto.
Yeah, that was a bit better from the Springboks. Very good scrum. I'm not sure why they didn't get the scrum penalty. I think the referee judging there that both front rows popped up simultaneously, but the Boks having the forward momentum of that scrum. And then off the back of that scrum, it was difficult to see exactly how the Wallabies got hold of that ball, but they did well to do so. And so Lothiaga is down on the ground. Let's see. It might have been a clash of heads here.
Clash of heads, probably.
Yeah, so he went, as Samu Karevi, he went on to tackle Samu Karevi.
Looks like an elbow there.
Along with Jasper Wiese, and I think Samu Karevi's hip just took out his right shoulder. He went down like a sack of potatoes there, that Lothiaga.
And then you see the follow-on tackle there from Mark van Staden, who's also getting a bit of blood treatment there.
He got the hand of Jasper Wiese to the side of the head.
Boom.
So as they both went in for the tackle, there bit of friendly fire from Jasper Wiese's palm onto the side of Lothiaga's head. He's up and walking around. Is he going to go for a ding-dong test? He looks pretty much always walks in that gangly manner, so it's hard to tell. But he looks okay. He looks okay to continue.
The medical professional is running behind him. This image in my head of that raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy. I think his name's Rocket. Chasing after Groot. That is essentially what it looked like. You just see her head because they've got Lothiaga in frame, and then there's just like this little head, just the top of a head that's running behind as she tries to keep up with him.
In the meantime, the Springboks got the penalty. They got the penalty there off the ruck area where the Wallabies infringed there. So they have a penalty in the middle of the park, just outside the 22 of the Wallabies. They are 4 points behind. They're a bit further away. It's in the middle of the park, just about, and just inside the Wallabies half. And Damian Willemse will send this one over the near side touchline, it looks like.
Yeah, Eben Etzebeth is the man who is back on for his lock partner, but Willemse kicking this quite comfortably into the 22 of the Wallabies. There's about 12 minutes, 11 and a half left in this in this game. It's a tight encounter. The Australians lead 25 points to the Springboks 21, but the Springboks are on a bonus point here, and they're inside Australian territory. Remember that next Saturday, the Australians will take the Springboks on once again. This ball going into Franco Mostert. It's a fair throw. The South Africans being shoved back in the early stages of this maul here. They're almost behind the 22-meter line here. Faf de Klerk races up to try and direct traffic here to push those bodies over. There's a call of use it once, and it's not coming out for the Springboks. The momentum is still with them, but the Australians are having to fold round and come through again. The ball eventually does go down. Faf de Klerk with a bit of a sniping run. He's shoved, and it looks like it may have been knocked on there. And the referee is saying the no release. It looks like the South Africans might get a penalty. I'm trying to understand it, and I think Michael Hooper is as well. He's run up to the referee to say, but what's going on? Otto, what did you make of that?
That's coming in from the side into the maul. So as the Wallabies tried to disrupt that maul, they didn't enter the maul from the back. So Damian Willemse sends this one over the near side touchline for yet another line out to the Springboks.
Yeah, you'll take us through this final 10 minutes of the game. The South Africans right on the doorstep of the Wallabies. They'll want to dot a try here. Joining maul incorrectly. You're correct, Otto, as always, as South Africa take us into the final 10. 25
to Australia, 21 to South Africa. Malcolm Marx has the ball on the 5-meter line. He goes into the lineup now, into the middle to Franco Mostert, and the maul is set. Malcolm Marx collects, and he's at the back of the maul. There's already a penalty advantage to the Springboks. They play it wide now to Damian Willemse, wrapping around, and it goes out to Sabul Kosi on the right-hand touchline. He goes and into the corner, but he's tackled over the touchline. The ball is in play, and they manage to dot down the Springboks on the far side of the field. I think the referee will have a look here because the ball was bobbling around a little bit there between a few of the South African players trying to keep the ball in field. And then it looks like, let's see here, good play by South Africa to get the ball wide to Sbu Nkosi. He goes for the corner, but he's well tackled by the Aussies. Makazole Mapimpi jumps into the air, knocks it back, but Willie Leroux, in his attempts to get it down onto the ground, is just shoved over the touchline in goal. So that would probably be an attacking scrum there. So one of the Wallabies also standing with his feet outside the play, swatting the ball in the air and trying to get it out. So I think this might be a line out to.
Let's see if we
might
can
be a
listen
line
in
out
from
to
our
South
side.
Africa. No, that's Willie going over the touchline in goal as he tried to get it down. So there's no try. There's definitely no try to South Africa. And we'll see what they say here, who gets the ball and what's going to happen. They're coming back for the penalty, of course, that wide play there by the Springboks and the cross kick, the wide pass out to Sbu Nkosi was all under penalty advantage. So I reckon they'll probably go to the near side touchline once again to set up the line out. They're not going to do a
Kick it
tap
and
and
try
go
and
like the
maul.
Bulls
Yeah.
did yesterday. And so Damian Willems punts this way up into the stands. The Springboks will have another line out on the 5-meter line of the Wallabies. It looked like the referee had a bit of a chat there to Michael Hooper about the penalties coming through and the maul defense by the Wallabies. So let's see what South Africa can do here. Malcolm Marx sends this ball into the line-out collected by Franco Mostert once again. And Malcolm Marx has the ball at the back. He's over the 5-meter line. The Springboks are edging their way to the Wallabies try line. They're going 2 meters now from the Wallabies try line. And Malcolm Marx should be over the line. If he can get it down, they've got to try. They do that. Malcolm Marx has it on the ground for the Springboks. They take the lead with, what is that now? 8 minutes left to play. 26 points to 25 to the Springboks. 71 and a half minutes gone in the game. Malcolm Marx with his second maul try by the Springboks in the second half. Great stuff there by the Boks. The Wallabies just not strong enough to keep them out.
Absolutely. Again, Michael Hooper not committing as well as the replacement hooker. And so that means they were a man short. It's a risk you take. You know, you don't commit men to the maul so close to your try line. You run the risk of being, literally mauled over, and that's twice has happened. The other thing is that if you don't commit men and they, try and snipe, there's no one to defend really. So in the end, the Springboks are getting a try, a vital try, so close to the end of this game, as well as the possibility of a conversion. But massive impact has Malcolm Marx made since coming on. Two tries, doesn't play around.
No. So good work here from South Africa, sticking to their guns, sticking to their strengths. Now the question has to be, as we see Damian Willems lining up this conversion from about 10 meters inside the near side touchline. No, they've gone a bit closer than that, around about the 15-meter mark on the 22. Let's see what he does with this conversion.
Only 5 career
Steps
points so
forward
far
now.
for him.
And he hits this one, but he's got that sailing past the right hand upright. So just a bit of a fade there from the kick. But now it's really important that the Springboks stay inside the Wallabies half, because this Australian side has already displayed their attacking prowess. They just need to stay in the Wallabies half. Kickoff goes to Jasper Visser inside his 22. He's tackled by 2-3 Australians there, but he sets the ruck for Vincent Koch in support there as well. And the Australians coming in with a huge counter ruck to try and disrupt there. The Springboks won't mind that too much. They regain control of the ruck there. Faf de Klerk with the box kick on the far side of the field. It comes down just inside the 10-meter line of the Springboks. Ball bounces around and out to touch. And let's see what they say there. Did it come off a Wallaby or a Springbok? It looks like the assistant referee is giving that line out to the Australians. the visiting team, even though they're playing in Queensland in these strange times. And Faf de Klerk arguing with the assistant referee, not winning the argument. The Wallabies will put this into the line out inside the 10-meter line of the Springboks. They go to the front. They try and set the maul, fake maul. They go out to the back. And it's the backline players piling in there for Australia into the ruck. And now they send this ball out again to one of the forwards. It's inside the Springboks 10-meter line. Now they go to the far side of the field, the blind side. Samu Kurevi gets tackled there about 10 meters in from the far side touchline, still inside the 10-meter area of the Springboks. Matt Phillip takes the ball up. Nick White has possession there, goes out to Quade Cooper, inside ball to Marika Korobeti coming in from the right wing, tackled, and there's a contest for the ball, but the Wallabies managed to clear it out. They bring it now to the near side, down the backline players. It comes tackled by the Springboks. Nick White has the ball at the back of the ruck, goes to the inside part of the field there. That's number 20, Pete Samu, taking it up. Still not over the 22. They're now back behind the 10-meter line, just over, and tackled once again are the Wallabies backs trying to attack. Nick White is waiting for the ball to be presented by his forwards. Slow ball for the Wallabies. The Springboks well set in defense. There's another pod of forwards here, but it's well tackled behind the gain line by the Springbok defense. Goes to Quade Cooper now behind the 10-meter line of the Springboks. Tackled now on the 10-meter line are the Wallabies. This ball goes out to the middle of the park. Matt Phillip, once again, the Springboks defense holding up, trying to slow the ball down legally, managing to do so. Bit of a shambles there in the back line as the ball gets into the ruck now on the halfway line for the Wallabies, still in possession. On the far side of the field, comes to the middle of the park for one of the forwards, tackled by Jasper Visser just inside the Springbok half now. Nick White goes to the far side. Samu Kurevi out to Hooper, who gets over the advantage line, breaks one tackle. He's got Callaway, it looks like, there on the outside, or one of the wings, and they get tackled there. The referee has stopped play. I'm not sure why. It looked like
I think it was forward
pass. Yes,
the
forward
pass to
there.
Michael Hooper looked like it was forward.
Reese Hodge to Michael Hooper to Reese Hodge. They're saying was a forward pass. Oh, and he dropped the ball as he collected it. Did Reese Hodge on the far side of the field, running onto the left wing with Michael Hooper there. That was almost a very good move there by the Wallabies. They managed to stretch the ball past the flanks of the Springbok defense, as we've seen them do a few times in the match already. And this time it didn't work out for Reese Hodge and Michael Hooper there, but they gained a lot of ground. So the scrum will be just outside the 22, I think, of the Springboks on the far side of the field.
If you're wondering what the Australian substitute sounded like, it was as they were getting momentum, and then it was very quickly snuffed out as we see a bit of treatment for James Slipper. These Australians are forever in their huddles. I don't understand it. They look like a high school team that, as we see the absolute talisman Herschel Yankees make his way off onto the park. Here comes a brace from him. Otter, I bag ourselves. Yeah, double here in the last 3.5 minutes.
Well, we need to get close to the try line first, but maybe he can make a sniping run from here. Let's see.
I back. There's a snipe around the corner, and then there'll be an intercept try. Somehow he'll be involved.
Makazolo Mapimpi, Willie Leroux, and Saboon Kosi are going to be right there. Okay, let's see. You called it, Dave. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
The Wallabies better watch out for Herschel Yankees, but for now, the Springboks are going to have the scrum just outside their 22. Michael Hooper and the referee are having a whale of a time in conversation. Yeah, they're talking to each other constantly. So that's good from Michael Hooper's side as the captain. You want to be in the ref's ear and trying to sway the 50-50 calls your way. So let's see. It looks like they are eventually ready to get the scrum going. 5 minutes to go. 4.5 minutes to go in this test match. The Springboks lead 26-25. Herschel Yankees has the ball. And they set the scrum now. Herschel Yankees is going to put it in. A steady scrum, and the Springboks getting a shove onto the Wallabies. Surely that's a scrum penalty. No, says the referee. Both forward front rows going up. Again, the referee liking to give the benefit of the doubt to to both teams here, but
No,
definitely
that is a penalty. He has given a penalty.
it should be.
He's saying that
No, he's saying both went up, so it's scrum Springboks, green ball once again. So they're going to reset the scrum. You got to stay down. If you manage to get the opposition to pop up and you pop up at exactly the same time, then it's like, okay, let's try again,
right.
But the Springboks were definitely shoving the Aussies back properly there. The Wallabies going backwards all the way. So Herschel Yankees puts it in once again, steady scrum, and the Springboks managing to go forward once again. It's under the feet of Jasper Visser. They're picked up now by Jasper Visser. He's got support, and they set the ruck outside the 22. Herschel Yankees has the ball, and he gets it into Vincent Koch on the 22-meter line, wrenching forward so slowly, but the Herschel Yankees has the ball now at his feet, kicks it high up into the air, very close to the touchline. He was there, but he manages to bring it a little bit infield. The ball is slapped back to the Springbok side. Damian Willemse inside his 22. It was taken back. He kicks this one into the middle of the park, where it's fielded by probably Tom Banks or Cooper. This one is high up into the air, not nearly as far enough as the Wallabies would have wanted. Jasper Visser gets it on the 10-meter line, close to the near side of the field here. Herschel Yankees has control of the ball out to the pod of forwards, led by Eben Etzebeth. And the ball is in control here for the Springboks. The Wallabies are called off it. No, says the referee. They knocked it on as they managed to steal the ball there out the side of the ruck. Why that wasn't a penalty, I'm not sure, but it's another Springbok scrum and a little bit further down the field than the last one. So net gain for the Springboks.
Rob Leota. Yeah, it was Rob Leota, the man with a mullet. There's it's bounced off his head there when it popped back to the Springboks, as you mentioned, and so it's considered a knock on. But the hairstyles from the Australians are honestly ridiculous. Rob Leota with a mullet. We also see Rob Valentini with what looks like a Mario mushroom on his head. Incredible.
It's something
stuff.
different. I like it. It also gives you a lot of extra
markers to pick out the. I was going to say
shock absorption on your head. Yeah,
I was going to say it helps us as commentators pick out players.
Yes, that too.
To
Herschel Yankees is ready to put the scrum in on the halfway line. The scrum once again disintegrating a little bit. Jasper Visser picks it up, and Herschel Yankees has it now. He breaks to the near side, but the Wallabies have the penalty on the 10-meter line of the Springboks. They are hugging each other and congratulating each other. That is. 1.
5 seconds to go.
No seconds to go. Time is up. And Quade Cooper will kick for goal to get the win for the Wallabies here, as the Springboks just the scrum disintegrating there and the referee deciding that he'll give the penalty there to Australia. I think it was for holding on by Jasper Visser, because he went rolling out of the scrum, and then he went rolling right into the hands of Nick White. And Jock Nienaber shouting in frustration, as we all are as South African fans, and we'll see if Quade Cooper can slot this one. It doesn't look like he will have a problem with this, given his previous attempt from more or less the same spot. And now it's up to Quade Cooper to win it for the Wallabies.
If you're a South African fan, blow with the wind, blow, blast.
Come on, wind. This way.
Yes.
Blow this way.
The winds of Port Elizabeth and Cape Town, may they blow loudly and viciously here at this opportunity. But yeah, this game has been ebb and flow. It's been back and forth between both teams, and it's really been good to watch.
Yeah, the Springboks need to be alert here. If he gets a ricochet off the posts or something along those lines, they are in position. They are watching the kicker. They haven't given up yet, as have I. But it looks like Quade Cooper has improved his kicking game quite a lot since we last saw him in the Aussie Gold. He's watching the posts. He's got the ball lined up, steps back, takes a moment to compose himself, looks up at the posts. And down at the ball, comes forward now, strikes it with the right foot now, and it goes sailing over the crossbar into the middle of the uprights. And the Wallabies have their first win of the 2021 Rugby Championship. They are absolutely ecstatic, and well done to them. They outplayed the Springboks today, especially in the first half, and the Springboks just not good enough in the end to hang on, especially those last few scrums. I think they were unlucky not to get a penalty in the second last scrum, but certainly the last scrum they went sideways, disintegrated. No real control there from the Springboks. So well done to the Wallabies. Thank you very much, Coach Dave. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. We're going to wrap this one up very, very quickly because we are getting ready to bring you the T20 between South Africa and Sri Lanka. What time are they starting play there?
A little bit later. There's still some time just for you to have a bit of a breather, but we'll bring that to you a little bit later around, I think 3 or 4.